Should your son or daughter play up an age group, stay at their age group, or play younger age group? This is a question that's coming from one of our listeners, Rick in Hawaii. Rick, a big thank you for sending that question in. Now, the question that we got asked was, should my son play up an age group or two to help him or her develop as a football superstar? 100% every player should play up, and they need to be within this set requirement. Now, my name's Raymond Wood, one of the highest qualified football coaches on the planet under UEFA. I'm also a UEFA Player Agent. I also wrote the Professional Player Pathway book. I've worked for teams like Liverpool, Leicester City, Paris Saint-Germain, worked for some of the biggest clubs on the planet. Now, this is the trick. Every boy and girl should be playing up an age group if they're not being challenged in their environment. This is the key ingredient. If you know, and you're not being biased, but you're being objective about your son or daughter, when you watch your son and daughter train, if you can see that they're in the top 3 or 4 players in the squad, okay, overall, based on physical, technique, tactical, social, 100%, if you get a choice, they should be playing at 1 or 2 age groups. Development only happens when players are being challenged, and if they're playing in an environment where the players are a little bit physically bigger and stronger, that is going to test them to the max. Not only have their touch got to get better, but their critical thinking has got to get better. And this is one of the projects that I worked on for the Premier League many years ago, and we discovered one of the key secrets to developing players is playing players up. The only time where you wouldn't play a player up an age group or two is if you know your son and daughter, okay, or the player in your squad is definitely in the bottom 3 or 4 players, okay? But if you've got a player and you know undoubtedly when we look at the 4-corner model and we're looking at physical, technical and social, if you know objectively that that player is in the top 3 or 4 players in the squad, you need to make sure they are playing up in age groups at least a couple of times a week, because what happens is with the stronger players in the group, and this is what we discovered, they become the coach within the session. And what we mean by that is they challenge everyone below them, but no one challenges them from the bottom up. And this is a major issue. So actually, if your son and daughter is one of the better players, they are actually hindering their chances of getting developed. And everyone below them is going to get closer, but they're not going to get any further away. So it's a constant road check. You need to check in all the time. It's really hard to objectively monitor players. We do an objective football test at Pro Player Pathway, but unfortunately it is really, really hard to do it. But normally, if you've got a good eye for the game, you know within that group or squad if that particular player is in the top 3 or 4 players. The best way to do it, if you are a coach or you're involved with the coaching of a squad of players, set up 8 to 9 mini pitches, 1v1 pitches, and play 2-minute rounds of football. The winner goes up after every round, the loser goes down, and run about 8 to 10 rounds of this mini game. And I guarantee whoever finishes in 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th place at the end of 10 rounds, they will be your strongest and best players. If those 4 players are identified, you need to then have a look at the club setup you're in to make sure they get to play up an age group or 2, so they're getting a challenge during the week. Rick, all the way from Hawaii, great question as ever, and hopefully, guys, that will help you with that question around, should my son or daughter play up an age group if they get a chance?